Go. Well done. Okay. Well. Hello everyone. We are today gathered here in this beautiful location known as the mothership. We are basically here around with a lot of Model 3s and a lot of Model S, Model X. So just to give you maybe a first glimpse at the Model 3, if you haven't seen it up close yet, I know in Europe most of you have basically been waiting for that quite a long time. So this is basically it. The beautiful cars that you guys have been dreaming of is basically there at your fingertip, and you can actually rent it when you are touring the US using a wonderful app with the old disclaimer of course called Turo. So the first thing that comes to mind, of course, are the handles that you can properly see here. They are actually shaped like you would open a canopy on an airplane. We can discuss and debate maybe the rims later on, like it or not, sort of always a matter of taste. But the first thing you need to do is to take that bloody card, because of course as a renter we don't have access to the app, and apparently maybe later on will come the key fob for the Model 3. So the first thing, if you're already a user from a Model S or Model X, you have to unlock it here, right here in the car level. So you see now the mirrors are basically opening up, and you can actually, just like we said in an airplane, open the door handle like a canopy and go inside. So of course the car itself provides a lot of places, from the user group in the UK would say this is one of the best part as well, is that you can easily fit a bottle of water, which has been very, very useful for us now, given the weather in California, and also the door handle. So we still don't have, handles inside the car, but you can actually rest your beautiful, let's say, hand over there. Don't do that, of course, that's a thing we won't do. You see, we'll just pull out the opening of the door. That was my first rookie mistake, because today to open the door, this is actually the emergency release right here. You have to push the button here on the top. That's a proper way to open a Model 3, ladies and gentlemen. So once you're there, the first thing that strikes to mind is basically the dashboards and the way that everything has been oversimplified. You just have, as you've seen online, the main screen, and of course you have a lot of spaces here on side, so you can basically fit 2 teenagers or maybe even more in the system. So it's actually pretty good cargo space. We can go on side if you want, inside if you want. You see we have already been guilty as charged grabbing some coffee and some water on the way. And then of course if you compare with the Model X and Model X, the thing that changes are basically the 2-pad here that you have to maybe switch some of the options, some of the noise. So let me get on board. Here we are. You see that the first thing that strikes is basically the size of the screen, which could be like an iPad of some kind. You see that on the left hand side it's always staying there, so it tells you the time remaining, tells you the information that you have. You can actually see the ratings here, of course, because we European have switched to kilometers instead of miles. And you see here the line that you have there, the thin gray line, would actually will be your Reagan, so you will know when you actually accelerate and when you decrease. You can open the front, you can open the trunk, and you see obviously now she's charging, so the charging port is open. And then you see the first funny things is, if you want actually to use a wiper on the fly, you can use one of the buttons here to basically do a first let's say test. But of course if you do want to use the wipers, it will have to be right there. You see, if I click here, I can enable the wipers and I can go to different speeds. You see we have different speeds here. You see the different dots that are basically available. So based on that, you see that you can also see the rear mirror. This is actually the camera looking backward. You can see the charging, obviously, just like you would do in a Model S, and you can also call some of your phones in the system. So this is the information that you have in the system. This is the information that you can actually see. Now all the controls are located here on the left hand side, and you see that there you have the quick control, just like you would open maybe some of your computer on your iPad. So you have the quick controls to control the lights, if it's going to be automatic or not. You have the adjustment for the mirror, so it's actually happening on the screen itself. The steering wheel, don't look here under for a button to actually move it up or down. It's happening right there on the screen, as you can see. You also see the folding. You can fold them right there. You can lock the window for the kids, and you can also play with the brightness, and that's also where you would actually open the glove box. You see the glove box is right there. Quite a great room for cargo. Then another option, of course, you can play with the lights. You see you have the different options for the lights, the dome, I mean nothing that you would be actually worried about. The different locks that have been there in the system, the display for the display mode in the daytime, and also the driving. Very important because it tells you about the acceleration, the steering mode that you would like to choose, and of course the Reagan that you would have, and also the traction control and the creep. Autopilot, of course, very important for those of you who are in for the technology side. This is one of the key innovation between bracket for this car, is basically using the autopilot. And then we have a bunch of safety and security stuff here in the system for the parking brake and the speed as well in the system. What was a little bit tricky for me at first, because I wanted to change, for instance, the kilometers into miles. So it's not obvious, you haven't seen it here on the screen. So basically what it was basically on the display, and then you see you have to go there on the right hand side. There's still an icon here for the settings, and then you can play around here, you see. So I can revert to the American format, to the miles, and I can still stay in Fahrenheit. Which temperature, by the way, right now, welcome in sunny California, we are at 27 degrees, not bad. So remember folks, it's in the display side, it's right there, it's basically under the panel there. Another thing that was a little bit distracting was the wipers for me at first, because we had some fog overnight, so it was actually a kind of a bit of a rain, so it was actually useful for us to know where we were. So as you can see, we are charging right now at the mothership. So this is basically what we can tell about the dashboard, which is pretty simple. What you can see also here, what is very useful, if you look at the air conditioning, you can play around, because you see there is no ventilation, as you can see right here in the system. There is no ventilation going on, and you can play around just like you would play around with the audio. You see, you can tell the system how much, let's say, air you would like to have here up in your face, and you can play around with the different, let's say, settings. You have, of course, what we call the connection. You can, of course, go online and you can listen to music. I used to pair it to use Spotify because I'm a Spotify addicted. You see, you can connect your phone, you can play with the heating system, which obviously will not do now right now with 27. And then you see you have the sound here on the right hand side, and you have also the sound right here, so you could play around on the steering wheel. Now I've been told by Will, you see here right now, if you come here in the system, if you put it up, the equalizer that we have in the car was also a little bit awkward to find. It's located on the left hand side. So once you have it there, you see on the main screen you go on the left, and right there you see you can have the tone, the balance, which is nice, you know, when the kids are listening to their music, you want to leave it in the back, and then you have a couple of options. And you see the couple of options here are right now available. I've seen the version 9 from Will that actually put it online. We have now some additional information like the explicit lyrics. I'm not sure it will come handy, but that would be pretty useful maybe for some of us. Now in terms of cargo, you see we have 2 USB ports right there in the system, right? So you see that there we have it inside, so you could actually put it down and fit an iPhone here so that you can basically charge your phone as you go along. So that would be very nice to have it there. You can close it as well, and you have also some additional cargo right here in the system. So that will be pretty good. All right. So that's pretty it. I mean, in a nutshell, this is a car. What I love at most is that you see when you're driving, you barely see the front, so you're basically literally on the road, which is quite nice for most of us when we're driving. And you see that you have also everything on the screen. Now the screen is a little bit confusing at first because you always have to have a glimpse on the ride. So personally, but that's only my view, I would have loved the HUD, the head-up display like we have on Boeing and like we have on some of the French cars, because of course then you can actually just look straight up, you know, the road, which would maybe even make it safer. As you see, we have plenty of cargoes, you remember, which is very nice. The seats are very comfy. We have a lot of room and we have a lot of space for the cargo. Let me open the front. You see, let me open the front, so the front is open, and let me open the back so that you guys could also have a look. And of course, what I love the most is the sunroof that we have over there. So let me go out. There we go. Bear with me. And you see she's charging, and you see that we have some cargo place over there. Not much as you would expect from a Model S, but you have enough basically to put maybe a kid or two, I don't know, age 5 to 10 probably. And then you see you have the frunk, but the frunk of course is a little bit different to what we used to have at the Model S and the Model X. So you see that here we have enough cargo space, and that could be pretty useful. if you look maybe online, I've posted a few pictures with the suitcases, and we had like 4 or 5 suitcases, so it could basically accommodate a family of 4 minimum to go skiing, for instance, in Europe or elsewhere in the world. So, yep. And you see, of course, for the moment we have the American format here for the charging. All right. So I don't know what you guys think, but probably the conversation will continue online. So feel free to engage with the Tesla Owners Club Belgium, and follow us, engage with us, hashtag Tesla Club BE. Thank you very much for listening, and looking forward to our discussion. Take care, guys.